What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for the Real Housewives of New York, season 14, episode 4. So it's our last day in the Hamptons, child, and everybody's getting up. Brynn stayed in the bed with Aaron because she said she ain't had no bed, child. The only bed that was available was the crib for the babies, okay? So she had to share a bed with Brynn because Jenna did stay in her room. Okay, Jenna stayed. So they getting up for breakfast, child. Sai is hungry. Sai said she been hungry the whole weekend. She said, you know, she had a good time other than the fact that Aaron don't want to feed nobody. Now, I do feel like Aaron, I feel like you was probably feeding them people like you eat. You probably eat the way like caviar and dinner, no breakfast, some water for lunch and dinner, breakfast that is an acquired taste because everybody might not eat it. It's shakuk. I don't know, but I'm sure it is a cultural meal to her. But it looked like it had a lot of tomatoes in it. And see, I wouldn't have wanted it because I can't do a lot of tomatoes, like pure tomatoes like that, because it's acidic. I get acid reflux, right? If I eat like lasagna or spaghetti or even pizza sometimes, depending on the sauce that people use, so I don't know if I would have been able to do that first thing in the morning. So I am with Sai on the fact that ain't nobody had no food. Okay, I watched it, and it did look like y'all did not have a lot of food. Now we see that Uba, I do remember her name this time. She has her own line of spices. She said, listen, in my line of work, I couldn't eat anything with spice on it. Everything was steamed vegetables, steamed this, steamed that, steamed chicken. She said, and so I wanted to find something that was still healthy, but that could add a little bit of flavor. And it looks like Oprah actually picked it up. It was on Oprah's favorite things list, so she did really well for herself. And we see later on in the episode where she is struggling with bringing in investors so she can, you know, build the brand even more. We found out that she lost her mom, and that her mom was like her best friend, somebody that she would bounce these things off of, who would help her figure these things out. And her business partner / friend was saying, look, you know, what would your mom tell you if you were here? And she said, my mom would say, go for it. I mean, if she were here. And she said, well, my mom would say, go for it. My mom would say, do it. So, and I know it's scary, like, especially when it's your baby and you built it and, you know, it's time to take it to that next level. It's scary, you know, but a lot of people, myself included, are scared to take that leap. But I said, girl, do it. Girl, do it. Okay. She is eating breakfast with a knife. I feel like I said, I feel like she does things to be different just to be different. Like, who the fuck eats with a knife? Like, and once again, they are having, it's funny because they started off having these rich woman conversations. The fact that Jenna showed up with $1 million worth of jewelry on her wrist, these diamond bracelets that were absolutely gorgeous to cook breakfast in, right? And then during breakfast, Brynn starts opening up a little bit about her past. And we find out that Brynn, you know, she came from very poor beginnings. She grew up with her grandmother. Listen. Later on, we see Brynn go to her stylist, right? And I was a little shocked when I saw that she had a black stylist until she started telling her story. I ain't know Brynn was biracial. Y'all ain't sent me that memo. Her mama is white and her daddy is black. And her maternal mother, her white grandmother, is who actually raised her. And she was talking about her hair and the issues that she, you know, the problems she's had with her hair and over the years. Because she said, you know, growing up, my grandmother didn't know what to do with my hair. Because for obvious reasons, right? Until one of her, I think it was somebody at her school who was black, said, I'm going to take her to my hairdresser. And so she said every Saturday morning was like the best thing for her, because she would go to the black hair, and anybody who's watching this that's black, you know, that going to the hairdresser, especially on a Saturday morning, to a black salon is an experience. It's like the barbershop. It's a whole experience, right? And she said, but for her, that was really like the only time that she really got to be around black people and be in her culture, be in black culture. And, you know, she said that it was just priceless to her. Like those days, it was priceless to her. Her grandmother thought, look, I'm just getting her hair done, but for me, you know, it was what I needed. She said that her father and his family were never really a part of the equation. So she doesn't really even deal with that. We also found out that she's been engaged like 3 times or something. And she said, she's really, because they were talking about Thanksgiving. And she said that she doesn't really have family to spend the holidays with. And so generally she just kind of goes and hangs out with her second ex-fiance, who's still really good friends with her. And she said, I just kind of go away. I just kind of get away because I don't have anybody to do the holidays with. And it can be very depressing. And so, I just kind of do my own thing. And so the ladies were all feeling like, dang, they were feeling a little sad about the situation. But now I see why Brynn is the way she is. She masks a lot of her pain through her humor and through her quirkiness, silliness, whatever. So we get back home, child. We are back home. And we learned a little bit more about Erin. We found out that Erin, her whole life has been in real estate. Like, her dad flips properties, and her mom literally sold, like, what was it, Lincoln Plaza, 700 Lincoln Plaza. Like, literally, she said, when she was a kid, she'd be sitting at her mom's desk while her mom was showing units to, Tom Cruise and Gwyneth Paltrow and Tom Clancy. She was like, literally, that was my childhood. So she said going into real estate wasn't even a big leap, but she has started evolving into doing more interior design and staging and helping her clients to refurbish the homes for less and not spending all their money. She said, just because you're rich and you can afford it don't mean you want to do it. She said, people, you buy a $5 million apartment, you don't want to spend $3 million renovating it, because then you're upside down in a $5 million property. So I said, I know that's right, Erin. You better go on out here and be a mover and shake a child and do all the things that you need to do, girl. I don't know why my camera keeps blurring up. It is really irritating. I don't know. I bought this new camera and I've tried everything and I have no idea why it keeps doing the things that it does, but we'll figure it out. Or I'm gonna go back to the cheap camera, because the cheap camera never gave me this problem. This camera was more expensive. Anyway, with all that being said, Sai decides that she is going to have a Friendsgiving for Brynn. Now, I think this was a great idea. I love it, Sai. I love it. My only problem is I feel like y'all put Brynn on blast by making it about her. Like, you could have just said, hey, I want to have Friendsgiving. I want to have you guys over. I think it'll be a great way for us to kind of celebrate with each other. I feel like by saying, Brynn, I know you don't have any family on Thanksgiving. Why don't you come with us? And I just felt like it was, I don't know, I feel like it was putting like a spotlight on Brynn and the fact that she doesn't have family. Again, I think it was a great gesture, but I feel like you didn't have to be so, like I said, spotlight on Brynn about it. I don't know. If I were Brynn, I would have been like, I appreciate the fact that y'all are doing this, but the flip side is, did you really have to do it? Like, did you have to make it all about me? Just Jack. You know what I'm saying? So then we see Jessel with her husband, and she's explaining to her husband how the ladies were kind of coming for her and how the ladies were like making it seem like she was just complaining about everything. And she was like, she said, well, the first thing I complained about was the heat. And everybody was talking about it was cold. First of all, that wasn't the first thing you complained about. You had a whole meltdown fit over that damn lingerie, talking about you look like a Christmas tree. Now, you tried to play it off later and say you were joking. Girl, you wasn't joking, because you wasn't laughing, okay? There was nothing jokey joke about what you went on a whole hissy fit and had a whole meltdown over that damn lingerie that was free. That all you had to do was smile and say, thank you, girl, and keep it moving. You ain't have to do all of that. You just didn't. But your husband already know you. Your husband was like, well, you have a tone in the way you say things sometimes. She was like, so what, you calling me a bitch? He was like, I never said you were a bitch. I never said that. And again, girl, you just ready to be mad and you just ready to have an attitude and just be rude, because that man never said that. He said you got a tone in how you say things. Then she brought up the fact that the rest of the ladies were getting on her about the fact that her and her husband ain't having no nookie. And again, he didn't seem to be concerned about it. That, if I were her, that is what I would be more concerned about. The fact that your husband, who hasn't had no nookie in 2 years, is laughing about the fact that he ain't had no nookie in 2 years, meaning he getting his nookie. He just ain't getting it from you. I'm just saying. I could be wrong. But I'm just saying. If he ain't getting a nookie from you, who he getting a nookie from? So Jenna went shopping with Jessel to go find a thank you gift for Aaron. And it was funny because she ends up buying Aaron this damn near $1,000 cashmere sweater, talking about something, oh, that's a little out of my price range. Girl, first of all, the store you went into, the fact that they had a $1,000 cashmere sweater tells me you ain't had no budget. Okay. Second of all, you bought it. So if it was out your price range, see, when stuff is out my price range, it stay in the store. You bought it. So while they were there, Jessel made a comment about the ladies being cackling hens, right? She was like, I really felt like, Jenna, if you had a problem, you should have addressed me. Why did you tell everybody else? Why did you let everybody else know you were upset? Why didn't you just say something to me? And Jenna was like, I mean, okay, you're right. I could have said something to you, but I didn't really think it was that big of a deal that Jenna didn't, like, come to her and say something. Like, I didn't think it was that deep. But neither here nor there. Jenna ends up having lunch with Aaron and repeats the cackling hens thing. Again, I don't think it's that deep that she calls y'all cackling hens or whatever she called them, cackling whatever. But Aaron was very offended at the cackling. Why she say that? Why would she call me cackling? What is the cackling? The cackling, the cackle, the cackle, cackle, cackle. Girl, was it that serious? That she called you a cackling hen? I mean, y'all were cackling. Y'all were yeah. Like, it wasn't that. I just didn't understand why you were like that bothered by it. But you were really upset by the whole cackling thing. But anyway. So Sai is having her Friendsgiving, and she's got a chef and a bartender. Now, Sai is serious about you not walking in her house in your outdoor shoes. And she is so serious about it that she actually put it in the text message letting the ladies know. She even said, I hope you're not, that your outfit doesn't revolve around your shoes because they will be coming off in my house. Like, I don't bring New York into my home, right? It stops at the front door. Aaron was the only one that clearly didn't read the text message and was bothered by it. And she was like, I mean, she's a look queen. She knows that, your shoes are everything. Okay, well, girl, not in her house, they not. I mean, I've been to people's houses where that's a thing, right? Take your shoes off. I mean, I've even been to people's houses where they keep fresh socks by the door just in case you don't have none. Like, it is what it is. At this point, I pretty much expect it, especially if I'm going to somebody who has a newer home. It ain't that deep, Aaron. It's just not that deep. So everybody shows up, and of course, everybody's dressed to the nines, looking all sexy and stuff. And they're having dinner, and again, I feel like they put Brynn on the spot, and they really forced Brynn. She kept telling them, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And again, I get it. We're making a TV show. I get it. But sometimes I feel like you have to read the room. Like, she was clearly distraught. Like, she was crying. She was upset. But we did get a little more information. We found out that her mom and dad, her mom was a teenage mom, had her and her two siblings while she was still a teenager. Her and her father, she said she lived with her parents the first 6 months. She said her parents got into some trouble. I translate that into they got arrested or they fled to avoid getting arrested. And her siblings were at the house by themselves for 6 days. She said she was 6 months old. So, of course, I can only imagine the waste that she was laying in, her brothers and sisters, what they ate or didn't eat or whatever. And I mean, she was just like, and she said, I don't want to talk about that. I can talk about how I feel about it, but I don't want to talk about that. And the fact that she said her grandmother actually legally adopted her and her siblings. So sounds like her mother still isn't in the picture very much. And it, that's it's affected her and why she moves the way she moves. And I can get that. I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. But it was a nice moment. Like I said, I just feel like they just put her on the spot. But it was definitely a nice moment. It was a nice event. Sai definitely knows how to entertain. And it was what it was. I feel like they addressed the cackling comment. Again, it's just not that deep. Like, they had a whole conversation about the cackling, and it's just not that serious. Like, I'm not, I'm going to put that in the same category as the charcuterie board with the cheese, and what was the other one, child, that they was fighting about? Child, the cheese, and it was something else, child. Oh, the caviar. Okay. Anyway, we'll get into it. Let me know what y'all think. Talk to y'all later. Peace.